Ekaro, Ekason, Ekalembite Batunwomi. I will be very happy if you people can help me share this video. And why is it very important? It has to do with this liberation. Number one, why is it very, very difficult for Christians in Nigeria, most especially in Africa, to first and foremost go and study the life and history of the man called King James, who wrote the King James Version Bible, that Africans are still believing that it is the best Bible so far. You will come back and tell me what you will have found out. Kunle Afolayan made a movie October 1st, 1960. Not so many people watched that movie. Or probably so many people that watched it, they didn't even understand what he was trying to say. What Kunle Afolayan depicted in that movie is just the tip of the iceberg of what the supposed missionaries did to so many children in the nations where they took their religions to. I will not call it religion, but a formatted enslaving ideology whatsoever. In Canada, my fellow Canadians will understand something, that there are a set of people, we call them Aboriginals. They don't work. It is in the constitution that the government must always give them, such that if one person gives birth to maybe 10 children, for example, those children from the first day, they are the government's responsibility. Yes, go and find out. I'm not going to talk so much about that, but go and find out wherever you will find out. And if you're interested in that story, you can private chat me. Okay? Why Aboriginal? There are 3 groups of them in Canada, and they have their own reserve, they have their own settlement and everything, and they don't want government pays them. Go and ask why. And go and ask again why the Pope had to come again the second time to formally apologize to this set of people in Canada. About 2 years ago was the second time. Why? Number 3, there is an hospital in Abuja, Wusetu, where they take care of the boys whose lives have been damaged by what Idris Okuneye that we have accepted in our society, which is not known to African culture, but it has come to settle down with us now. And based on the case that is ongoing, I don't know if all of you have seen that or have noticed that all attention has been diverted from Idris Okuneye himself, right? It is another thing entirely. And in the history of Nigeria, I have not seen any court issue that has been so fast like the one that we've had concerning the Falanas and VDM. That is by the way. How many of you have noticed that in Uganda back then, the president stood against same-sex marriage and everything, LGBTQ, whatever they call it. And Uganda was sanctioned. If they are bringing that to any African country, immediately they send their delegates from the Western world to come and talk to our government. Any government, any African government that refuses, they say they sanction them. But these same people will not bring the innovation on how they have modified their mosquitoes, that the mosquitoes cannot transmit Plasmodium, which is responsible for malaria. They will not bring innovations on mechanized farming. They will not bring some other innovations. Neither will they allow a right channel through which they can have access to our resources and we can utilize the income from it in a way that African continent will be better off than what it is now. Nobody is asking questions. But I keep saying something, that if this liberation movement continues this way, if this liberation struggle continues this way, such that many more people are speaking up without fear, a time will come, it will lead to religious revolution. And I keep telling us that it is that revolution, the religious revolution, that can actually give birth to what we call political revolution, the real political revolution that is required in the African continent. Because when we consider the millions of people that are still tied down to the fact that they are going to one heaven, and they have to keep praying so that the resources God has given us in Africa can convert themselves into finished product, so that we can begin to have clean streets like we have in abroad. By the time we reduce the population of such people who are believing in that crazy, mentally derailing ideology, you are going to see that it will be the day the Africans will begin to ask the right question. Why are we living like this, despite having these resources? But they don't want us to wake up from this slumber. Now I say this, it is either that our learned pastors, I don't want to go to the dropout ones, they are just making easy money. But the ones that claim they are learned, like the doctors, the PhD holders, it is either, if they can come out and refute this claim about the life and the person of King James, if they are bold enough to come and tell us without shame, we will so much appreciate it. But what do I know? Is there any outer of truth in them? No, they are just concerned about their pockets. They won't tell you the truth. And I still tell us today, the earlier that we realize that both Islam and Christianity are formulated ideologies to suppress us in Africa, the better for us. And please don't be afraid to ask questions. Ask your pastor some questions. Ask your affairs some questions. I am saying this on behalf of an average African youth. Now imagine what our brothers and sisters, most times they even go with their children. Imagine what is happening to them when they say they must find their ways to Europe or America for greener pastures. And what we're calling greener pastures yesteryears are actually different from what we are calling greener pastures today. Because what we are calling greener pastures now, they are not grasses, they are just man-made grass-like carpets that are laid on decaying brown grasses. When you get here, you realize that the carpets are just to entice you. By the time you get here, you realize that you are just jumping into realities of life. Unfortunately, in rounding up, most of us leave the shores of our homes and families. We say we're coming here to seek greener pastures, to be able to feed our parents, to be able to help our family members. Do you realize that most of us even lose those parents before we can be able to even go back home? To the extent that most of us are not even able to go for their burial ceremonies or burial services. It is that sad. But what do I know? My name remains Rotimi Daniels. I will kokolojo oloro ti baba oloro ba gbo kí ló fẹ́ fi mí ṣe. Ẹ má fẹ́ yí ṣe lọ́nà. As I believe that you are going to be making efforts to go and answer or ask your pastors and affairs these questions I have raised here. Bye.